to joke to it. From popes to presidents to Gwyneth Paltrow and Demi Moore, so a really, really big mix of authors. And we set up, the London office has been going for about 11 years, and our own, we very quickly set up our own big authors, including Tilly Bagshaw, who's my client, so from a very commercial, to lots of big, Alex Bellos, sort of science writer, to Eva Rice, who's big in women's fiction, so a big, big mix. And we also have an LA office that does all our film. So I'm sure you've heard lots of agents talk, and what we particularly sort of do a bit differently is we have this huge American office who give us massive support in what we do, and they also represent our books for us in the States. So instead of just an agent in the UK trying to understand the publishing network in New York, we have that team on board who represents our books for us, which is a huge help. And in the film world with LA, that's a massive opportunity, having those connections right there in LA rather than kind of trying to grapple with that world from Notting Hill. And what our kind of ethos is we're a small agency here, so there's only 10 of us, and we really, really, really care about editorial work. And I'm sure, again, lots of agents would have told you this, but almost to a scary degree. We don't take on loads of clients because we believe that the clients we do take on will sell. So instead of sending editors 1 million manuscripts a week, if we believe that if an editor gets a manuscript from Janklow, that's something quite special. So we'll spend anything from a couple of months to a year editing, getting that manuscript perfect, because it really is a one-shot thing, and we want it to be ready not only for the UK market but for the US market, because that's obviously incredibly important for our business. And the US market is surprisingly different. I had a call with a US agent this morning who was saying that crime and thrillers there are just they just don't want UK crime thrillers. It's just such a difficult market for it. It's such a different how they see their market, how it's working, and what sort of authors they want, and it's a complete minefield. So it's really interesting having them to talk about those differences with. So everything we take on, we try and make it have UK, US potential and European potential. I'm sure lots of agents have mentioned this as well, but selling into European markets is big business. So Germany is a massive book market, and we could sell a book here for quite small money, but possibly sell it in Germany for triple that amount of money. It's a booming business, really exciting. So is Brazil, so is Japan. Obviously Italy and Spain are having a harder time, but there's so much you can do with books that you want to try and get as much of that sort of international appeal as possible. And I do a big mix of really anything that excites me personally. So I'm really quite general when I come to that. I represent very commercial crime. I represent more upmarket book covey, psychological suspense. I represent lots of cookbooks. It's a big personal interest of mine. On the non-fiction, I do sort of inspirational stories, or something that perhaps sort of very issue-dread non-fiction, something a bit zeitgeisty. So a big mix, whatever seems to be sort of working at the time, and as much we sort of obviously try and follow trends as try and create a new trend, so it's always sort of trying to think ahead with all our books. And I was thinking what I could talk to you, which might be, I'm sure you're quite savvy now about vaguely how the industry works and submissions coming in and all that sort of stuff. So I thought I'd take you through a sort of strange way of talking through this, but I possibly had the most exciting day of my career today, which was selling a debut for really quite substantial amount of money to Penguin, which was insanely exciting, and I was walking in air. And I thought I'd just talk you through how that all happened, because it was just such an amazing experience, and my love, what I want to work on more than ever is nourishing and working with debut authors. It's so exciting. So this is an author that I picked up maybe 7 months ago, and in the normal way that we have to agents deal with these things, the author sent his manuscript to lots of agents. And I would say a sort of sub-note on that is if you do send your manuscript to lots of agents, it's really worth being really transparent about that, because we're actually publishing as a tiny business and we know everyone. And obviously you should send your manuscript to lots and lots of agents. It's a good thing to do. But it's always worth just saying, this manuscript is out with other people. You never need to name names, but just so we know and we're aware and we'll read quicker, and it's just good to be as transparent as possible. So then we go through the whole kind of win the author thing, and it's a bit of a beauty battle, and it's all really difficult. And we try and show what Jean-Claude could give more than anyone else. So I got this author, and the book is upmarket psychological suspense, but it's all told through letters, so it's sort of a very modern epistolary style, sort of Where'd You Go, Bernadette style, but much more sinister. It's an amazing book, and we spent a good 7 months getting it just right. And during that process, what we do, and you'll find lots of other agents take very serious as well, is during that editorial work, I'll also be talking to editors all the time. So we don't quite have the long lunches that used to be in publishing, I hear, but we will make it our damnedest to go have an 8 AM breakfast with an editor and pitch that book to them, and we will try and do drinks, and we will do all these things just to get that momentum going and get that excitement. So 7 months later, when you call up each individual editor, which we always do, and say, look, the time has come, this book is ready, you don't just get okay, you get oh wow, that's so exciting, I can't wait to read it. And when they're getting 30 books, a week, more at the moment, because it's coming up to Frankfurt Book Fair, that means a lot, getting your book up to the top of the submission pile. So it's not just timing because of editorial work, it's timing just to get that book really ready and fresh in people's minds, and it's exciting. And that's why we don't take on money projects, because I don't want to sit in a reps meeting and go, I've got this and this and this and this and this and this. It's exciting just to say, I've got 2 things, I think you'll love them, let's go for it. So we did all that, we did loads of editorial work. We'll then pitch it to however many editors. For this one, it's about 25 editors, it depends on the project. So for more literary fiction, there's often a bit less people you can send it to, but for fiction there's a good amount of people. And I mean, the boring stuff, we think, we go through all the different publishers and we think who's it best suited for, who have we talked to about it with. We can only submit to certain people. So Penguin you can only submit to 1 person, but Random House we can submit to 3 people in different imprints. So you have to sort of navigate all of that, get your list really clear. With Penguin Random merging, it makes it a bit more tricky. Who can, they can't compete if it's just them in an auction. So it's a lot of strategy. That's the amazing thing and the great thing about agenting, is it's not just the creative editorial work, but it's constant strategy. And I've never come across one book which has the same problems or issues or complexities or thoughts of this. So we strategize, we get that list together. At Jean-Claude, we'll all sit in a room and go through that submission list together, work out if people feel differently about a particular editor, if we think someone's a bit off their game, if we think someone's really hot at the moment, we might we'll talk to the US, and we'll often double submit. So we'll submit exactly the same time, try and get a UK-US deal in tandem. So we did all this work, and then this just never happens. This morning I got to the office at 9 AM, and 5 Penguin editors were at our door with a bottle of champagne, offering me a big amount of money to take the book off the table. And that's a really excited position you can be in, which means that they're basically saying they've had this book for 18 hours at tops when they knock at the door, completely unannounced. And that's a really exciting opportunity to say, forget everyone else, we're taking this book. And you then have to say, what do I do? Because you're essentially, it's a gamble. If you say no, you might go to auction and get loads of people, the rest of the people who are still reading, into a big auction, or you say yes, and you take your chances. That was the most you could have got for that book. So it's like it's a lovely position to be in, but incredibly stressful and exciting. It's going back and forth with the author and trying to, again, the strategy and the complexities. And if you say no to that, you're essentially gambling with your author's money. And do you want to be the person who feels responsible for doing that? How much can you guarantee you will get more? it's a constant struggle. And more than that, I've sort of bleated on quite a lot about money in this process, but it's who's the right fit, who's the publisher who's best for you, where are you going to be most happy, who's going to make this book the biggest success it will be. So lots of strategizing. I had